All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Commissioner Gage,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda. Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, we'll turn the meeting over for any public comment. Anyone wish to address the commission this morning? Morning, Carl.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
As they say, this is a Christmas season, so I bring you tidings of joy. All right, and the tidings are that we have some kids, young people that have really done some good things, and I've been here before with Young Citizenship Award, coming from Aberdeen, Roncalli, Grace Cogley and Alexander Hall, and then from Holgate, we have Clara Holcomb and Oliver Byers. From Simmons, we have Mavis Sullivan and Esau Eaglestaff, and then from Aberdeen Christian, it was Isabel Ross. So those are the kids that have the Young Citizenship Award, and it's an award that you can't try for. It's a direct reflection of parents, family, friends, teachers, counselors, coaches, as they are impressed by the speeches and involvement of these kids. So every now and then I hear somebody say some things about our kids that aren't positive, and there are some kids that do things that aren't positive, but there's a group of kids that are doing some wonderful things. And then the Youth of the Month Awards, this is a little bit different. This is where they really try for this. They have good scholastic achievement. They are involved in student government, yearbook committee, musical organizations, debate, theater productions, sports, and all those different things. But Aberdeen Central Youth of the Month was Mason Lingen and Daz Ron, really good people. Aberdeen Roncalli Youth of the Month is Mattia Heinrich, and Leah Gardekal was last month. She was there also. And then Aberdeen Christian Youth of the Month was Micah Kranzler, and the sponsor was Twist Cone and America Prize, Thrivent and Hub City Livestock, but the speaker was Aaron Folberg from Northern State University. It was a great event, sponsored by the Exchange Club of Aberdeen. Exchange Club of Aberdeen's been going since 1972. I'm not a paid announcer for them, but this is something they do that I think is just outstanding, and I thank you for giving me a couple minutes.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment on any topic that isn't on the agenda? Out there online or on the phone? Seeing none, we'll move on. First reading of the following ordinance.
Ordinance 284, an ordinance amending Title 4, Second Revision, Brown County Ordinances as amended, to rezone certain described property filed by Pat and Donna Keats to go from Egg Preservation District to Mini Egg District.
Okay, first reading of these ordinances. Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 284? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Ordinance 285, an ordinance amending Title 4, Second Revision, Brown County Ordinances as amended to rezone certain described property filed by Stacy Gosman to go from Commercial District to Residential District.
Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 285? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Motion by Gage,
Second.
second by Feldheim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, IMEG with the Brown County Bridge Inspection Report. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Derek. Hi, Mike. How are you? Pretty good. What are you guys doing today?
Talking about great tidings of great joy.
I would think so. I would think so.
Have you seen it?
I've been living it for 20 years.
It's all his fault.
Good morning, I'm Chelsea Sheridan.
And I'm Mike Gutenkauf, we're both with INAG, here to talk about the bridges.
All right.
Quick summary of our bridge inspections.
We'd like to start off by thanking you guys again for your continued business and allowing us to inspect your bridges. Brown County has 134 structures. Typically, bridges are inspected on a 24-month cycle. The Brown County bridges are kind of split between like county road structures and then structures that are off county roads. So this year, we had looked at 83 of the 134. And then the remainder of the structures we had looked at last year. So of those, if you go to slide 3, we just have a rough average replacement cost. And this would be of all of the Brown County structures that would be eligible for replacement. We're looking at about $1.7 million for an average. And then if you were to go through South Dakota big program, the minimum replacement match would be 20%. So you're looking at about $350,000 minimum match. Of all the bridges in Brown County, approximately 85% or 114 are in good condition. This is based off of a sufficiency rating, which is from 0 to 100, with 0 being essentially a failed structure and 100 being a brand new structure. This isn't a number that we assign to the structures. It's we essentially like code all the data from each individual structure, any deficiencies or
Condition, right?
right, based on like the condition of the structure, and then a federal highway program assigns the sufficiency. So that would be anything from 60 to 100, and then in structures in fair condition, you have 8 bridges or 6%, and then structures in poor condition would be 39.9 down to 0, and that would only be 12 bridges or 9%. Slide 4, we're showing the average sufficiency since 2015. At that time, it was 76.6. Today in 2024, we're looking at 83.9. We have the state of South Dakota average sufficiency, and this is for county or local structures, not structures on the state system. Their average is 76.4. So we look at a lot of bridges every year, and for a county of this size with this many structures, this is a phenomenal place to be. They have a sufficiency rating of 84. So we commend you guys for, you guys and Dirk for being proactive and, maintaining and replacing, and it's a lot of work to maintain a system of this many structures.
There's a lot of capital cost and then maintenance cost as well. Just the number that occurred to me as we're looking at it, if you got 138 overall, and the design life's about 75 years, probably about 2 a year. That's assuming everything's got a 75-year design life. Some of them, if it's pipe, it might be 20, 30, 40, but those are things to think about, I guess.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I would say our roads are not as good as the bridges. I mean, if you did some statistical analysis, a good fair, the numbers aren't gonna look like they are with the bridges, but bridges stay fixed longer. I don't know of a more rudimentary way of putting it, but that's why, and now hopefully, like you say, with some variation there for a pretty good chunk of time here, the bridges shouldn't be a problem, and we can concentrate back on maybe getting some of the roads up where we need them. One other comment that they just touched on, and I don't mean to hijack your thing, but you had somebody come in about that Bridge 68 or some of these other ones, and I've also had a guy protest a bridge posting and wanted to reevaluate it over the past. I don't wanna say it's completely arbitrary, but they just touched a little bit on the process there. They collect the data, they put it into what Federal Highway says is the matrix we're gonna use to come to our number, and with a little bit of engineering discretion, but for the most part, that number isn't something that moves around. So when those conversations come up, it's more about why that bridge wasn't selected versus another bridge, really, than it is, you know, what, like you've heard me say, if a bridge got to 3 ton, how bad did you need it? And so that's just my side note about how they come to this. It's not a lot of input that we get, that's gonna end up being involved in that structural sufficiency or the bridge rating on it, so I'll be quiet now. Carry on.
The second attachment I was giving you guys, this is just, essentially we call it our prioritization sheet, and everything is sorted by the far right column, which is a modified need based on the sufficiency rating. So we just give a higher priority to structures that are on a county asphalt, then a county gravel, then township gravel, and no priority to structures on a minimum maintenance. So if you look here, of the structures in poor, there are 2 that would be on minimum maintenance roads. That given that, they wouldn't be eligible for state funding.
That's a good point.
How many are there on there?
2.
Just
2 of those minimum maintenance.
Which 2 are they?
The one east of
142 and
Groton,
81.
Okay.
and then,
142.
the one down
so-
by Stratford, that 5
Yeah,
span.
east of Schleiz,
Yeah,
Yeah.
81.
a really pretty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a
Very-
nice spot.
Very scenic.
It is.
There's at least one of those bridges, if not more than one, in the process of being in place now, right? In the red category.
206 and,
206 would be Elm Lake.
yep, 347. What's the Sand Lake one? I've only been looking at that for 22 years as well.
47 or
271.
What is it?
Yeah, 271 would be Sand Lake. So for Sand Lake, we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
bring the application
Oh,
for
good.
bid-ready replacement through the DOT.
Okay.
Did you want to talk on that? or-
I can, but they can't act on it today.
Okay. So
Um,
we have, just an extra copy that would need to be signed, the commission was to approve, and then this would be the county's copy of the application. So we just need this one
Signed.
signed and returned to us,
Returned to you.
and then we would submit the
So
application.
we'll put that on the agenda for
31st.
31st.
Okay.
Got a busy day that day. And then we have one day to get it in, huh?
But we'll take care of that.
Okay. Just commenting, you know, the long sorted thing of shifting the grant monies around and stuff, so this is the application for the new grant.
Actually get it done
Yes, hopefully we'll get it done.
this round.
That sound like
The
the
23rd time is the charm.
Things evolve. So you touched on it. Explain a little bit again how we get from the bare sufficiency rating, and then you've got the eligible for replacement grant money,
Yeah.
and you've got on and off system, and then we get over to the modified rating with that. Just go over that again, and,
Okay,
you know,
so
if you would.
we take the bare sufficiency rating, and if the structure, for example, is on a county asphalt, I believe it's downgraded to like 20%.
Okay.
So we apply that 20% downgrade to give it a lower modified need to then move it up higher on the list.
Okay.
So we do that to the county asphalt, and then I don't remember, the county gravel might be like 15 or 10%.
There's a scale.
And then, township gravel, 10 or 5%, and then we assign nothing to the minimum maintenance. So at the minimum maintenance, if you look.
Fair rating going
There's
up.
no, yeah.
Okay.
And to be clear, the sufficiency on the left side, that's what counts for the federal grant.
Right.
This is for just
Planning
Prioritization.
purposes.
prioritization.
Yeah.
And of course, there's other factors too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use that column for anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right,
If that's a little more for
Mm-hmm.
different counties.
Yeah, this is more beneficial in counties where they might have 50% of their structures in the red.
Yeah.
And then that's,
Where do you start?
yes, so where
Okay.
do you start? And then we'll go through and discuss with the county highway superintendent or the commission, you know, and kind of weed out, you know, this one or that one, or, you know.
That's an established weighted need.
Right.
For reference. Okay, thank you.
Good way to put it, yeah.
We also have an updated wall map
Thank
for
you.
you guys.
That put up, appreciate it.
To show the correct boundaries for the city of Aberdeen.
That's for another time.
Inside joke.
Any other questions or comments?
So 206 and 271.
That 206 is Elm Lake.
Yep.
We already bid it once, and it was double the engineer's estimate, and we had one bidder, so we kicked it back, and I can't tell you when the letting is, but it's presently. And this grant we're just talking about, that'll bring back on the 31st, is for the Sand Lake Bridge. That has to be in by the 2nd, and I can't remember when those are awarded.
Like March?
Yeah, this spring would be for that one. And how quickly it's expedited after that, I don't know. But I'll repeat what, I've said before, is if there's, unless you guys tell me otherwise, if it's cheaper to have the bridge out during the winter,
Yeah.
that's gonna be on the table, because there can be some substantial savings there.
There's farm to market considerations, and then there's financial considerations, and how long does it take to actually get stuff?
Right, so I just wanna throw that out there again.
Sure.
It's not 100% for sure, but, I do know that, I can't remember who, somebody asked me over in, must have been Matt Schuler, I don't know, someone asked me over there in
Millbank?
Millbank about that again, so.
So, things work out, we should have those two in green in the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Elm one is actually ahead of the other one, so the Elm one will go this summer. And then hopefully the Sand Lake one will be later this year. And maybe I'm being optimistic, but
They're not huge projects, but they are substantial projects.
yes. Oh, yeah, and they've been going forever. And, the Elm Lake one is a different funding. That
Yep.
was some of the cheap bridge money we got, and then we got more money to make so that bridge is only costing us like a 4 or 5% match or something like that. It's the Elm Lake one.
Okay.
And then moving forward, you know, I kinda touched on them, but you can spin around and look at the 5-year plan. Those are the ones that are in there, but, again, unless you guys, you were doing mostly off-system, right? This year, so
Inspecting, yep.
those aren't super critical, but it doesn't look like we have anything coming, you know, if everything ages the way it's supposed to, we shouldn't have too many huge surprises coming up outside of what we mentioned to be aware of on the map there, so.
Good. I know we diverged a little bit, but what you do is critical when it comes to making the point and the justification for the funding partnerships that we access, so, and it's also very important for us to make sure that we're maintaining a good, safe system for our public, so.
Do you guys do the inspections for state and federal bridges also? Or is that another program?
That is typically like the state roads,
Yep,
they have their
yep.
own bridge inspectors.
Okay,
So they cover regions, like
Yep.
there's a guy based out of Aberdeen, or a
Right.
team based out of Aberdeen.
right,
And so for us, it's counties and cities,
okay,
and township by extension,
right.
you know.
No such thing as a township bridge, Mike.
On the township road. We own it.
You're as bad as I am.
Drives me nuts, we're sitting somewhere, well, these township bridges, there's no such thing.
All right, well, this is good, useful
Good.
information, we appreciate it. Job well done.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Have fun with that pony. All I gotta do is find my agenda, I tucked it inside the item. All right, next up, Rich Kipley, Fairgrounds Parks Manager with, oh, I'm sorry, missed 6. Approve and authorize chairman to sign the Federal Highway Adjusted Urban Boundary Map. Was in the packet.
Move.
Motion by Dennert,
Second.
Second by Weiss, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're right on by that one, sorry. Next up, now Rachel Kipling, Fairgrounds Parks Manager, with the rest of the agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I apologize if you get tired of hearing my voice. We just
Better
got a
Rachel
lot of
than
stuff
HR.
going on today. Yeah.
Everybody get comfortable.
Yeah. So the first one's really easy. I think you saw it in the packet, the Hayground leases. You guys already approved the high rates that we got for the bids on it, so just need a approval of that.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Second item, we did have a full fair board for a hot minute, and then one of our board members had to leave for personal reasons, move closer to family, so he's no longer residing in Brown County, and I believe that was also in the packet. I will have a updated board list for you for your organizational meeting next week, so I don't know if you just acknowledge that, or if it matters that somebody resigned. Yes.
Need a motion to
Move.
acknowledge. Motion by Weiss, second by Gage, to acknowledge the Fair Board member resignation. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Appreciate their service and wish them well.
Yeah, they did great. It's a big loss they were on a lot of boards too.
Mhm.
Next item is the 3 contracts. I think we can do them all together if you guys are okay. Our policy is anytime we spend over $5,000, I bring it to you. So the first contract is Ashley Wineland. She'll do 2 sets for 2 days at the 2025 Brown County Fair on Wednesday and Thursday, and her cost is $5,500 plus some hotel. The second one is the Everly set. They're also doing a Simon and Garfunkel Forever set as well. They were here in '24 and they're coming back in '25 with your authorization. That's $8,000 for 4 days, 2 one-hour sets a day, plus the option to do another 5th day if we decide to, and some hotel. And the third and final one, over $5,000, is UZ3. They were here in 2023, very popular. The sponsor of the tent loved them as well, so the Fair Board decided to bring them back for one of our free tent rock groups. It's 2 sets for 2 days. That'll be Friday and Saturday at the Brown County Fair for $6,000 plus hotel. So if you guys have any questions on those 3 contracts, otherwise, I'd love your approval.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The next contract is, normally you guys just give me the authorization to go ahead and work on sponsorship, but this one I just wanted to bring to your attention and potentially get Dwayne's signature on it instead, because it's something different that we haven't done lately. The Coca-Cola company has approached us and been willing to do a 3-year sponsorship of exclusivity out there. The Fair Board does recommend signature of this. Basically what it would do is, well, first of all, the Fair Board, before they knew it was coming, we did a little poll. 13 board members like Coke and 9 like Pepsi. So I don't know what your guys' preference is here on the board, but that was just kind of our informal research, first of all. About 75 to 80% of the vendors are already selling Coke out there versus Pepsi, and a lot of that comes from some of the changes corporate-wise that Pepsi's now requiring folks to rent their merchandisers. They don't offer them for free that week. In addition, they don't offer the Pepsi to be returned at the end of the week. Once you buy it, you've got to keep it, and that's different than we've ever had before. So things are kind of changing in that world. So some of the specifics of what are in the contract I'm asking you to sign, it's, like I said, it's a 3-year deal, and our local rep, we will sit down after the first fair and just kind of reevaluate how things went so we can get out of it if we decide it's something we don't like. They would get exclusive rights to all the vendors and everybody selling Coke during the fair. We would get a $5,000 per year upfront donation or sponsorship. We would also get, they will place vending machines wherever we prefer. So if we want some in the campgrounds, some down around the fairgrounds, and we get 25% of everything that's made on those vending machines. The price will be $3 for a bottle of Coke and $4 for energy drinks. They have a whole list of things that they offer. It's not just soda pop anymore, obviously. Another thing that they're going to provide is a lot of product. So we use a lot of soda, water, things like that during the week of the fair to keep the artists hydrated, to keep the volunteers hydrated. We also use like milk, OJ, chocolate milk, stuff like that for our board meetings. All that's going to be provided free of charge, and that's been hundreds of dollars for us in the past, so that's huge. The other thing that they're offering is a marketing value of about $5,400. So not only banners, things that they can print for us, but a lot of times you'll see Coke trucks driving down the highway, and they have events that are published or kind of promotional, yeah, on the backs of them. So they're willing to do the graphics and let us put Brown County Fair, the dates, the artists, whatever we want to put on the backs of their trucks, starting in May and driving through August. So that's huge to us, because they'll be going right in our core area, everywhere from Low Bridge over to Watertown. So great promotion for us as well. In exchange, not only the exclusivity, there is some 6 4-day concert tickets for them. We're going to give them some shout-outs on the PA, but I think this contract was in your packet. I don't see a downside to trying it, and if you guys had questions, otherwise I'd ask your support of getting a co-sponsorship.
So all the vendors that you list and hire, or whatever authorized, they'll be required to sell Coke products.
They will.
They won't have the option.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, that's probably the 75 to 80 that are already doing
Yep.
it. And the other ones, the way this will work procedurally, we send out the vendor contracts in January. We will highlight it and make sure they're very aware. And, you know, if the word doesn't get out, you can't control it. People have it like their campers. So you're still going to see some Pepsi and stuff. And we also made sure that they were very aware if it's a specialty drink, if it's the dairy booth, if it's things that, the homemade lemonades, things like that, that does not pertain here. And in addition, we do have some vendors who offer free water to their customers or folks that are walking around. That doesn't affect where they get that water. But if you're selling water on the Midway, it's going to come from Coke.
Okay. All right, we'll give it a try and see if it's advantageous. Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Lots of work right there.
It is a lot of work. But not as much as the next one. So the next two items are gonna kinda go together. As you know, we had that, one proposal submitted for the clubhouse, and upon review, the board just, it's kinda frustrating, and I agree with Duke, it's probably not worth any more to them than what they had put in for their bid, but that is some prime real estate during the week of the fair, the clubhouse and everything to the west, and so what we're trying to look at doing is potentially upon, you know, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, statute does allow the Brown County Fairgrounds to have their own liquor license. It seems like a beast to try to get your arms around, but we have done quite a bit of the research. I've talked to the other 3 bigger fairs in the state. They all do it themselves. That's Sioux Empire, Central States, and the State Fair. And they're actually, to be honest, surprised that we don't use some of that, because that's directly what they use to make improvements on their fairgrounds. So initially, just talking about what would a liquor license on the fairgrounds look like, we, this body, decides what that legal description is. And so what I would say, ask for you guys is the entire fairgrounds minus the grandstand, because that's something we lease out and there's already a contract or will be in place. The Odie Ice Arena, they already have their own malt beverage license, and the Centennial Village, that's kind of under a separate contract as well. So what does that leave? That leaves the clubhouse, the Holem Expo building, and potentially the corporate tent to the side of the grandstand during Fair Week. Those are the only other places that alcohol is currently served. So that's what we're talking about, is just those 3 spots. Nobody else would be affected because they have malt beverage. And we are talking about an full alcohol license. So what kinds of events are we talking about? Right now in the Holem Expo building, the only ones that occur are the Bolorama, potentially your town tour, which is not scheduled to come back this year, but if they did in the future, you know, the Dwarfenators were there, and then the Hall of Fame. So it doesn't tie our hands, because it would be permanent, and it runs on a calendar year. So if an event did come in that wanted to serve alcohol, they would have to go through us. And then the clubhouse, of course, this would pertain to week of fair and a lot of the weddings. So we're getting a lot of weddings booked in that clubhouse, so it would also come through us. Any questions on the description of it? Okay, and then in the packet, Lynn and I were working on the actual application, and so hopefully you have that. So what would this look like? The Fair Board already kind of discussed it at length at their meeting last week, and their recommendation is to go ahead and obtain the liquor license and try to do something different in the clubhouse. Based on the numbers and the credits that we would have to give back to hockey, we're not making anything. I mean, we could literally just sell it for vending space and make more than what we're getting. And I know it's not all about the money. I get that. We need a second location with your Centennial Village to offset. You guys have made mention before that that's an important thing, that we don't overflood Centennial Village. Well, I think by doing a liquor license, you could potentially bring some folks back up to that clubhouse. So with their approval, we're bringing it to you. What I would suggest we do, if you guys decide to move forward, in January what we would do is authorize advertising of a position. It would be a seasonal, full-time, or part-time, depending on what that looks like, and that person would organize this liquor license. Basically what they would do is they would have to be at every event where liquor or alcohol is sold. They would be the one in charge of hiring the bartenders. They would be the one in charge of all the receipting in of the money, reconciling it, getting it to my office, because it's just too much. There's no way that myself, Mackenzie, Stacy, could be at every one of these weddings, all fair week long, that's overseeing the clubhouse. And there are things that we can do as far as what that looks like. Do you hire all W-2 Brown County employees? You could, but there are other options as well. So you might have seen this in the packet, some of the different ways that folks do it. You are working with the Department of Regulation and with our insurance. We could also contract with a nonprofit that wants to do fundraising and say, okay, we got the clubhouse open, it's going to be this 6 or 7 days during Fair Week. If you want to come make some money for your organization, you'll have to sign up to volunteer. But this is just an example. You come in and you say they have 12 people that are willing to work the hours of the clubhouse for one day. Whatever they make on that day, less the profit or the expenses, you got your band, you got your tent, you got your security, things that you're paying for. Whatever the net profits are, you could split them 50-50. So the fairgrounds gets part, or the fair board, and the nonprofit. So you're not edging out your nonprofit opportunities, because I get it. We provide a lot for a lot of opportunity or nonprofits out on the fairgrounds. But at some point, we got to start taking care of ourselves, or we're not going to be able to take care of those nonprofits. So this is just one example of what we could do. The other thing is, what I was toying with, and this is up for discussion, is the first year, do you get full-blown bartenders, or do you just do the ready-to-drink, your carb list, your things that are already in cans? That could make it very simple the first year, where you're providing some liquor, but it's already pre-mixed. You don't have to worry about doubles and pours and things like that. So I know that might be a concern with the security, which, just bear in mind, the fair and you guys were already paying for all that security. So by retaining some of the profits, you're helping to actually help yourself again. Last year it was about $30,000 that we paid for security for just the week of the fair. But that would be one option. You just do the pre-mix one, so you don't have to worry about a bartender in there all the time. Or you could do a full-fledged mixing. You just kind of want to keep it minimal as far as the number of bottles you have open when I talk to my comrades at the other fairs. So as I was talking, you could do the splitting with another group, 50-50, or some contract of that nature where you're still helping people. You could hire everybody W-2. The third option is you could just contract it to somebody else, which is in essence kind of what we were doing with the Hockey Association. If you do it that way, insurance just does have a rock-tight contract in place so that all the liability and all the work go to them and you still get something. So in essence, that's kind of what we're doing now. But with the one proposal we got, I guess my recommendation was we hire this concession manager so we see all the profits and we see what we're getting into. Bear in mind, I don't want more work and I don't want this liquor license, but we've tried so many other things to get extra revenue out there. And I just think that if we try this for a year or two to see where it goes, maybe we'll discover it's not what we want to do. But I think we've tried so many other things that this is worth a try too. The other things that I think that could make the clubhouse successful, and I have had this discussion with the former lessees during Fair Week, is a food option. I don't know how many times, we have great food options out there already, but a restaurant-style food option where we contract with, one of the restaurants in town that comes in and does a couple meal deals or something like that, where you still have your liquor option in there during the day, and you also have food. Entertainment, I think they could try some different things, bingo, karaoke, trivia night, things like that. The board seemed excited about trying to work with this new position, if you decide to go that route, to get some new life back into that clubhouse. So I think there's a lot of opportunities and things that we could do to try to liven it up in there. And then also in the packet, you'll see there was a sample that Allison helped me put together based on the State Fair's beverage. They call it a beverage operations superintendent, and they pay just under $16 an hour for that position seasonally. So if you want to take a look at that, that's kind of what I'm suggesting we do. And so I guess what I'm asking you is, based on the Fair Board's recommendation that we reject the clubhouse bid that was given to you, and we look at also applying for the liquor license for a year and see how it goes. Do you guys have questions on what I've covered? I know it's a lot.
Now, you said we would take the fairgrounds and we would carve out the grandstand, Centennial Village, and the Odie. So those three areas wouldn't be affected by our liquor license.
Correct. They can only have the malt beverage they currently have.
Yep. Would, if we try this and it clearly is successful, with those other three carve-outs, is there such a thing as a liquor license that they could apply for? Their only option is malt beverage, okay. That was my question. Somebody asked me that, and I said, I don't know if that's even an option, but now I know.
I don't know either if we've talked about this and haven't gotten all the answers from Department of Revenue. At the end of our first year, if they realize they want to be part of what we're doing, can we, our new description for, let's say, 2026, absorb them and then have a contract? I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, Lynn's absolutely right. They can only have their malt beverages, no liquor allowed. And the reason being is a special liquor license. It doesn't count against your county total. It's just because you're the fairground.
So if it were successful and if they felt that that would enhance whatever they're doing, Centennial, for example, so we could maybe work out something where we could include them, instead of carving them out the second year, we could include them, then they would pay, instead of going to get their own license, we could contract with them. Is that it, right? Okay.
So right now, the legal description is in here, and then it just says exclude Centennial Village, and it lists it. That's how we wrote it on the application, so it's really clear.
Right. I guess that's the only thing that I just had someone ask how that works, and you explained it, so now I have an answer.
What was the county's profit off the Club Launch Center? 3,500, 3,600, is that all we ended up with?
Remember, we switched it 3 years ago to say you get 6,000 or $15 a case, whichever's higher, roughly, and it's always been the 6,000, 6,500, 7,000. So the new proposal, they want to go back to the pre-3-year, which said, hey, we got to give them a $3,500 entertainment credit, we have to give them, like, different things, and then if you look at what it was prior to that change, it was about 3,500, 3,700.
So it wouldn't take much to accumulate that, even if you have to hire somebody as a seasonal or part-time. I suppose it'd have to be part-time, because, you might have weddings 8 months out of the 12, so it'd be a little hard to have them call it seasonal. It'd have to be part-time.
Right. Well, and yeah, it would start in March. The first event would be Bolorama, this person overseas, and it would go till my last wedding is usually early October before we winterize. And kind of how State Fair does it is, this is your top concession person, they're supposed to make it to everything. Well, that is asking a lot. Every Saturday night, there's pretty much a wedding. If they can't make it, there's an assistant that will cover the few events that they can't, because you always want that person on site watching the till, watching the, and making sure that everything's on up and up.
So go back and explain for those type of events, or for during the fair in the clubhouse, how is that going to be staffed? You said there's several options.
Sure. So what I would say is first we get this concession manager in place, and then you either, because
You
security we're already taking care of, because we pay for it.
Right.
So we could have Aberdeen Security and Investigation backed up by the sheriff's office for the security component. So the option one is we hire them all. And I've been told $11 plus your tips is kind of the going rate for a bartender these days, maybe. So you have a list of people willing to work. That's option one. Option two is we open it up to the community and we say, okay, we got our concession manager in place. She will contract, okay, this day it's hockey, this day it's the soccer association, this day it's, and you're required to have, and we set that up, 14 or 16, whatever we believe is going to be the number, you have to have that number here. We're going to have 4 at the door checking IDs and wristbanding. We're going to have 2 at each of these 2 or 3 bars, and that's the second option. The third is, and we're kind of getting away from what that would have been, is you're contracting the whole thing to a Mavericks, a Legends Liquor, you know, a Mulligan, saying, hey, you just run it for us and give us a chunk. And so by doing this, I think that option is kind of, I mean, you could still do it that way, but you would, in essence, be taking your liquor license and they would be running it.
Staffing's gonna be an issue no matter which way you go with
Yes.
that.
Yep, that's why I think you start early. Because I think there are groups out there that will do a day, they don't want the clubhouse for 7 days. And then you have to figure out, okay, so a Wednesday isn't gonna be as busy as a Saturday, so then you prorate it. You had to have 20 people here on Saturday and you made more money. Maybe on a rodeo night, you only needed 10, so you're not gonna make as much money, but at least you got something with contracting with them.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be interesting, because it's essentially what the Boys and Girls Club does with different groups, organizations,
Right.
businesses, but they donate basically their time, their in-kind.
Yep.
100% towards that.
Yeah, and that's what these nonprofits would be doing. So it's, like I said, it's a lot, and I'm not excited, but I am excited, because I just think
It's got a lot of potential, but
we
it's
gotta
like
try
jungle.
some, yeah. And you know, with a new, this will get into my next item, but potentially a new building on the horizon, it's time to start figuring that stuff out anyway, because it's gonna become a bigger question if we get a new, complex 4-H building out there to do year-round events. I mean, do we just keep giving all that income away, or do we contract with somebody?
There's lots of scenarios.
Be interesting experiment to see how it turns out.
And like I said, it's on a calendar year, so let's say it does flop, because that's what I keep thinking, and I'm not taking this decision lightly, and I'm sure you guys aren't either. It's like, what if I can't find the staff? What if I can't, I mean, we lock it up for the week, and what are we out? I mean, we're only getting $3,500 anyway.
That's the thing, it's not really gonna cost the county anything to try this. I mean, eventually, even if you take if you took 5 weddings in a year, well, probably, with the limited amount we would do, we'd probably make more than $3,500 just on certain events. We wouldn't even have to go through the full staffing of it, I mean, if it doesn't work. Now, I realize, if you promise somebody you're gonna have alcohol for their wedding, and all of a sudden you decide you're gonna shut this down, you may have a problem.
Well, I was talking Fair Week. We wouldn't do, like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So for weddings and special events like that, then the requirement would be that you use the liquor license and there's no BYO and...
Right. And if you wanna provide liquor for your wedding guests, you're buying it through us. And we may or may not give you a discount on, father of the bride wants to buy 200 drink tickets.
Sure.
It's coming through us so that the fairgrounds gets a piece of that. And that's something too, we have to figure out, there's a lot of questions from the fair about it, because we're gonna be in charge of putting a band in there, the sound system, there's a lot of expenses up front. But when they walked through and talked about all of that, they're like, it would be ludicrous to not try it, just because we already have a number of bands like the ones you approved that are already in our free tents. So we might be able to piggyback off of some of them and get a better rate for some of the entertainment in there. And just to try, they're excited about trying some new things in there, and I'm like, you guys are already busy, you got these committees you got going on, so we definitely need extra help, but, I guess
Just
they're...
to expand on Doug's point, it's either step up or walk away.
Exactly.
Is there, each volunteer fair has a certain, like, one's in parking, one's in vending. Is there an opportunity to create another subdivision of volunteers just to do that?
It's funny you ask that, because when the discussion was going on at the Fair Board last Wednesday, it was asked, would anybody be interested in serving on this committee? Because we do, everybody's on 3 to 4 committees.
Yeah.
And there was probably 6, 8 hands that were like, yeah, I would like to help with that. And, I mean, we've got an incredible crew right now, and I sure don't want to tax them too much, but this is something that, looking at the proposal and the option, they just, and we'll get into it a little bit in some of the other areas, but they think it's worth the extra work, and guaranteed they'll be putting in extra work for it.
So there's options, it's just a matter of how they come together.
Yep. So I guess what I'm asking is, would you approve a fairground liquor license for the year 2025? And then authorize me to advertise for a beverage operations specialist, superintendent.
Part-time or seasonal, whatever
Yeah.
we're able to secure.
Probably hope to have them in place in March for Bollarama.
Thoughts, questions, additional comments? Gamble? Go ahead, Kyler.
Can you do this on like a case-by-case basis? Let's say we have a wedding come in and Legends wants to do it or whatever. Can we do it like that, or does it have to be this way or that way?
Once we have the license, it's our license, so they can't bring, and look, I don't think they have an extra one anyway, they'd have to close down to bring it. So like Stacy's the one who's been getting all the weddings, because he had an extra license he transfers out.
So it'd make it available for us to utilize however we choose.
Right, so it doesn't say you can't contract with people, but it's all gotta be under our license.
But they can come in and staff it and
If we agree to it.
if we agree to it.
That is an option.
We've clearly talked that through and stuff, but since we got HR sitting out there, you got any questions, comments, or concerns about this?
No, we don't.
All right, just, we put a lot of work into it. I think there's some enthusiasm for it, there's some opportunity, and if you guys are willing to put your arms around this, it's a big deal, and above and beyond all the rest of it. I'm gonna make the motion. I just wanna make sure I know what the motion is here. First one is separate to apply for the fairground liquor license. Is that simple enough for the motion?
Should we reject the clubhouse one first?
I don't care, whatever order, I'm just looking at what's on the agenda here.
I would think we should deny that first before we step ahead of that. It just would make sense that
Basically, what
we're...
you do is if you're gonna approve to apply for it, then I have to do the publication for the hearing for it,
Right.
and then, so it would probably be
So what we're doing is authorizing the publication for the hearing, for the application.
I think that's a good idea. Before we take that step, let's make a decision on the clubhouse bid. Either accept or reject that. Do you wanna give us your...
Yeah, the Fair Board...
You kinda already gave us your
Yep, Fair
pitch.
Board would recommend that the commission reject the clubhouse bid that was submitted.
It's been a long-standing relationship and it's been good, but things have changed and they've changed considerably, so I will make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim to reject the bid that we received for the clubhouse. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Now we can take action on our county liquor license.
Move.
We have a motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim. Is there any further discussion? Everybody understand what we're doing? I think you put a lot of time and effort into it, and I appreciate that, and the fact that the Fair Board gave it long and serious consideration. I think everybody realizes that they're taking on some added responsibility, as we all are probably. So with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
It'll be for approval on January 7th.
Sounds good.
We're gonna have a busy January 7th.
Yes, you are.
31st and 7th.
All right, that brings us to letter F, the Fairground Improvement Fund. This is the time of year where I come in and give a end of the year and beg for a little bit of money to be put into our improvement fund. On the fairground side of things, you know, nobody expected that expo roof bid to come in about $286,000 more than estimated. I do appreciate you guys stepping up and making that happen, and in exchange, we as a department really tightened our belts, and we made sure that we knew that we were gonna be under budget, but the nice thing was it was early in the year, so I'm happy to say here at the end of the year that we'll only be 140 over. We really put off some of the projects that we were gonna do, working on the roads, things like that, to try to get under budget. And then with that, we also will have $25,000 extra about in our parks budget, so appreciate you guys working together with us to get that roof done. It's a huge, huge project, so. On the Fair Board side of things, as I mentioned, this is a pretty amazing Fair Board to work with, and they go above and beyond a lot of times. And this year, one of the things they really, well, going back to 2023, that they asked themselves some hard questions of, well, how do we make more money in our budget, and will the commission see that and then help us make some improvements out here? They take a lot of pride in what that fairgrounds looks like. So for instance, the vendor committee went around and individually checked every single vendor space outside to see what they were pulling for electrical, and they charged them accordingly. So we're the only fair that just kind of was like a $50 electrical charge and that's it. Well, you got some that are pulling 10 times what the others are. So they went around with the electrician and physically checked every single vendor and sent out invoices. Was it popular? No, it was not popular when they got these extra charges, but it was in the contract and they really followed through on that. Likewise, the camping committee tracked campers who came in early and stayed late this year. We've never done that before. If you came in early, you're only allowed Friday through the following Monday. It's 11 nights, which is very fair. Some came in Tuesday, Thursday. Before the fair week, they went and tracked them, and they charged them, and it was in the camping contract, a $50 per night early, and it's fine. It's just, you know, if you want to come in early, there's great reasons why. My husband can't pull the camper and he's gone, whatever, but you're going to pay for it. And those are things that the Fair Board worked overtime to go check, and so they sent those invoices out. And the biggest one, the entertainment committee did a ton of research, working with the fair office and looking at what other fairs, festivals were charging on their ticket prices. That resulted in those prices that were increased about a year ago that we brought to you guys. With all the things that the Fair Board has been doing, we had projected the revenue in '24 to be $1.077 million, and they actually got just below $1.7 million. So it was $1,699,009, and that's about $621,000 more than the projected revenue. In addition, we will be returning an estimated $30,000 on our expenditure side of things, and for those reasons, I guess I would love to see you guys take both because the budget is balanced, if you could take the above and beyond what they made in the revenue by putting in all that extra work, as well as what we saved on the expenditure side, that would be about $651,000. And I guess that's what I would like to see you guys put in that capital improvement fund, because we know we've got a complex 4-H building coming, and we know we've got a grandstand that needs to be replaced. Currently, if you look in the packet, we only have about $420,000 in that fairground improvement fund.
420?
427. Yep. So if you guys did that, it would put us well over $1 million, and we're talking some real money where we could actually maybe knock one of these projects out in the next 2 to 3 years. I'll leave that for you guys, and it would be a huge message to this Fair Board, because they're always asking me, what good does this do if it goes, and you guys have heard it before, I did when I was where you are, it just goes into the general fund. What good does this do that I'm taking the 2 extra hours after it's still dark and checking electrical or checking for campers? And this would go a long way telling that board that, hey, what you're doing matters out there and we're with you. So whether it's that amount or something that you guys deem appropriate, that would be great. Because they are doing the hard things on the ground out there that aren't popular. We had some longtime campers that have always pulled in early and got the extra $50 bill, and they're not happy, and they get to hear the brunt of that, and so I just think it would go a long way.
So historically, there are occasions where we've had a bit of a shortfall, not significant, at year end. And then there are times when we've had surpluses, and previous to when we had the improvement fund, that would simply go back and just show us net back into the general fund. And when you took over, that was one of the many things that I personally, and I think the expectation was that we'd figure out both ways with creative partnerships, the exclusivity contract you brought this morning, and some of the rest of these things, which are heavy lifts and additional responsibilities. I'm crazy impressed with the fiscal outcome of the fair from this last year. And I think it's a reasonable request, maybe not all of it, but certainly most of it, be dedicated towards that going forward. And so,
thank you.
I'd make a recommendation or a motion, but I want to wait to hear some feedback from the rest of the commissioners first.
I guess my question would be, it's one thing to look at those numbers on paper, but from an auditor standpoint, are they accurate, or do we have any surprises coming before the end of the year
I would know
that
more.
you're aware of?
Yeah, I'd know more at our 31st meeting.
Straggler bills coming in or anything?
Yeah. I'm sure we've got everything accounted for the year and.
Okay. Can you put this on as an agenda item for consideration for that meeting and
Yep.
you come back?
Sure.
If there's anything that develops, beyond that?
And I don't want my comment to be taken that I don't support this at all. I mean, I'm all in favor, but I don't wanna have the next couple of weeks go by and we have $100,000 worth of bills come in that weren't anticipated, overlooked, whatever, and then find ourselves short, so.
Nope, that makes sense.
And sometimes we take, we do an auto supplement from your revenue to, because you're in the hole, in the one, so that's another thing to consider. Or you can do a contingency, that's gonna get to you guys, how you want to handle that. So,
Yeah, I guess I would feel better handling it on the 31st than today, so, but I'm in support of doing it, don't take that as a negative. So.
Yep.
Well, it's a good hard work and, make a compelling argument for it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick it back up to 31st.
Kudos to you and your staff and the Fair Board for their efforts, and those are, Commissioner Weed said, those are impressive numbers, so if we can do that every year for the next few years, we'll be on a roll.
Yeah, right, well, and it's one of those things, like, with 3 inches of rain, if we, you know.
I was gonna say,
there's
we're
gonna be
getting
a
in there
year.
beating the mud. It's coming.
Exactly. But no, I appreciate the comments, and I will be back the 31st, hopefully with champagne.
Sweet.
The final thing I had on there was just a general department update. Wanted to let you guys know, and I think I sent out copies to everybody, and they're in the packet. Strategic plan for the fairgrounds. We've talked about this for a long time. It's becoming more and more pertinent that we show what does the next 5 years look like? What projects are we hoping to tackle, and promotion of the fairgrounds. We're really trying to make it a destination, more events going on in the expo, camping, conventions, as well as taking care of our partners that are out there, whether it be the Hockey Association, the racetracks that we're home to. So please take a look at that. Let me know if you have any updates, things that you think I overlooked, things that I missed. I would love to have any feedback on that.
So, just a comment, Rachel, I read through that, very good. Really liked what was in there, and just kind of having a vision rather than, here, let's fill this pothole or that pothole, or do this project,
Mhm.
you know, actually looking ahead 5 or 10 years. One comment I did have from just let's say a 4-H family, was the possibility of having indoor shooting sports, and then also like a winter livestock show, you know, that would be heated, obviously, and obviously that would include like a wash rack too.
Yep.
So that would be just a couple things to at least, I'd say put on the radar. You know, there's a lot of, like the smaller jackpot cattle shows, or not just cattle, but, I mean, cattle would be the main one, but these jackpot shows have really picked up in popularity over the last 15, 20 years. You know, and if they're indoor, that helps a lot too. So
Yeah.
just something to, I think, consider to maybe bring in some families from across the state. They have like a junior point show, where there's, you know, probably 20 to 30 shows throughout the course of an entire year where you know, get points and accumulate
Yeah.
points. And families will travel for that if you're
Oh, yeah.
anywhere in the state. So just something to
We've actually
keep on
had
the radar.
some organizations contact us about it, and
Good, good.
2 points, so shooting sports, that would be part of, so we have the building committee going on right now, Lynn and Dwayne are part of. We would be able to do that in potentially the 80 by 180 building we're looking at, replacing the compact Swift. So we know the plight of them. They've been out to various farms that have donated their venue. They've been to the mall. I think this year they're going to the Armory with the National Guard. So that would be taken care of in this building plan that Becca and our building crew is
Good.
looking at. And then as far as livestock shows, we already have the capability of doing it, but right now it's a hockey rink.
Mhm. Right,
So
right.
it's-
And I thought of that,
It's
yeah.
what our choices are, if we rent that out or if we were to keep it, because we do a rodeo in there, we could very easily do a livestock show as well, so.
It's something to consider, and I mean, whether you're talking about the Holum or the Expo Edition, I mean, or something completely different. There's a lot of potential there, you know, to have
Mhm.
some kind of a winter, you know, junior show.
Yeah,
So.
that'd be neat.
And I'm
So-
glad you mentioned the proposed building out there.
Mhm.
Like Rachel said, Lynn and Rachel and I are part of that committee. We've been meeting every month, and work progresses on that. If you get a chance, if you're over in Millbank, that's where last Thursday's meeting was, to get the opportunity to stop and visit that. I mean, it's an amazing facility, and we truly have a need here in Brown County for a year-round multi-use building like that. And I think it would open up a ton of possibilities for events or things to happen, you know, during the winter, spring, fall season, because it would be heated, air conditioned, and it's first-class building. Spink County has one that's similar, and Roberts County has one that's a little smaller, but still a very nice facility. So I think Brown County is behind the 8 ball here on having our own, and I'm hoping that we're able to get something like that going sooner than later. Our plan is to kick this off in 2025 and start with our major fundraising efforts. It's projected somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million for an overall cost, depending on what we do inside, but it'd be a great addition to the fairgrounds, and it open up a few more opportunities for Rachel and her crew to rent that thing out on a continuous year-round basis.
Quite a few more.
Do that.
Very good. The other things I had as far as department update, just wanted to give you a heads up on marketing. We really, it's an area that we kind of struggle with in our department as far as wanting to promote the fairgrounds and the fair itself. We have about a $60,000 line item budget for the fair week. It's one of those things that we have been talking about with you guys even for about a year and a half, because what we had looked at doing was maybe contracting with a marketing firm to do something like that. The board did talk about it extensively last week at their meeting, and they're not ready to go that option yet. They want us and the staff to just absorb that and keep doing what we can do, and we're more than willing to do that. It's just sometimes you're like, gosh, is this, how much percentage of that 60,000 should be digital? How much should be going to radio? How much? And there's really no parameters to measure that. You don't know. We look really closely at what zip codes buy our grandstand tickets and kind of some of those reporting, but marketing is a beast, and so we continue to do the best that we can with what we have, but it's one of those that we kind of, at some point in the future, like to look at getting somebody that knows a little bit more about it than we maybe do.
It's always tough, because it's valuable, but it's an intangible.
Exactly.
That was a very robust conversation, too.
Yeah.
I want to say it was very good. There was very good points on both sides. And there was friendly debate, you know, from
Yeah.
people that wanted to move on to a marketing
Mhm.
firm and others that wanted to keep it here. So
Yeah.
I appreciated listening
That's
and
good.
not adding to the discussion, just listening to the discussion
Uh-huh.
on Wednesday night. So.
There's some very invested people on the
Oh,
board.
absolutely. Yeah, it was a very good discussion
Yeah.
on both sides. So.
Good.
And then finally, tickets are still on sale through Christmas Day. You can get them early, get a little bit of a discount, so trying to pump that out there, and then they'll be closed again until March. So, and then finally, we are looking at a big surprise coming New Year's, and we're excited to unveil a little something. And you'll see in the last announcement video something in the background that kind of gives you an indicator of what that will be. So I'll leave that teaser for you, and Fair's getting excited. So,
All right.
do you guys have any questions for me?
Good stuff.
Thank you for your attentiveness and time, and I apologize it was so long, but I think we got some really good things on the horizon here, so.
Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Merry
Rachel.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right, moving on to consent calendar. Lynn?
Approval of the general meeting minutes of December 10th.
Move.
Motion by Weiss.
Second.
Second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll, which includes the PTO payout.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Auditor's report of accounts.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Dennert, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claim assignment.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion
I
carries.
didn't do that on purpose.
Liquor license renewal.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And travel request.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business to come before the Bryan County Commission this morning? We've had a request to go into exec for personnel. I think Ross came in. I don't know if we have anything legal.
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Dennert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, the light's back on. We're out of exec with no action as a result. Do you have anything else that, would you make sure that on the 31st, we have the indigent defense contract on
Sure.
there, just to make sure we can take action.
Okay.
Is there anything else we needed to add? That's the only thing I think that we wanted to make sure was on there. Anything else to come before the commission today? Not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move. Second.
Motion by Valentine, second by Denner to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.